What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's 7-Minute Sit Down. And we've got one of our resident savages, the one and only savage human being, mother, wife, employee, friend. She's just a monster. She's also one of my wife's favorite people. Liz is with us today. If you don't know who Liz is, you're going to get to learn a little bit about her and what makes her tick. And you will see she might be one of the most competitive people we have on our staff, which is one of my favorite things about Liz. And a little known fact that I don't have to ask her this question. She's actually in our fantasy football league. We're in the same league together. And Liz is cutthroat. So I just can't, if you've never met her before, I'm excited for you to get to learn a little bit about Liz. So Liz, tell us a little bit about your backstory, family, upbringing. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah. So I grew up in Texas in a little town north of Austin. I would say I'm absolutely like a small town girl at heart. Grew up with divorced parents, didn't grow up in the church, but grew up in the Bible Belt where everybody goes to church, and really found myself early on gravitating towards people that I loved, that I knew I could stay the night at their house on Saturday nights and go to church on Sundays with them. Went to school in Southern California for a couple years, transferred back, finished school in Austin, moved out here very begrudgingly, told the Lord, I give you 1 year and then I'm out of here. This is not for me. Scottsdale is not my people. I think that was 14 years ago. You would think that was also the last time I told the Lord.
Yeah, right.
Something.
He always wins.
Yeah, it wasn't. But I do feel like I'm getting better. So I've been here for 14 years. I have 4 kids. Husband,
How old are your kids?
So my oldest is 26, almost. She's about 3 weeks out from being 26 when this is recorded. Then I have a 9-year-old, an almost 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. I often tell people, I know I don't look old enough to have a 26-year-old, but we're an adopted family.
Yeah.
So some of my kids are adopted, biological kiddo also. And yeah, we're just living the dream of what it looks like to have this wide range of parenting a 26-year-old
an
and also
family.
a 5-year-old. And
they're a picture of heaven.
Yeah, just constantly, flipping hats on and trying to figure out how do we meet this kid's need while also being intentional with this kid. And yeah, it's been a really great ride the last 15 years.
I love it. How long have you been on staff?
Just celebrated 9 years a couple weeks ago.
Flies by.
I know.
Unreal. What do you do in this season at the church?
So in this season, I am over our family ministries. So executive pastor over families, kids, students, men's, women's, really just trying to create this cohesive picture of what the kingdom looks like and how we can fight for wholeness for families and resource our families. I think a lot of it for me comes from not growing up in the church and wanting to see this valley eradicated of pain and hurt, and to really just be able to receive what it looks like to not just love God and have him be the Lord of your life, but also to be a disciple and live every day looking more like Jesus than the day before.
Love it. So when you're not, quote unquote, on the clock, what are some of your favorite things to do besides fantasy football?
Besides being highly competitive, I love outdoors. I'm a national parks girl, national parks family.
Favorite one you've ever been to is what?
Ooh, Kings Canyon.
Oh.
Sleeper National Park.
That's where my wife grew up.
It is a sleeper. I think I went thinking Sequoia was going to be, which amazing. Also, right. I give it like an 8 out of 10. But Kings Canyon National Park is this sleeper place. It's like kind of on the tail end of like, well, you're at Sequoia, so you might as well go to Kings Canyon.
Right. No, it stands on its own.
On its own.
Yeah.
The water, the waterfalls, the fly fishing, it is a true picture of God's design and just majesty on display. And my dream is that by the time my kids leave my home, my littles, that they have gone to every national park. So we've got to average about 5 a year.
How many are there?
63.
Oh, wow.
63.
That's covering ground.
National parks. Most of them are in our region, though. So like Alaska would have to be my kids have to be driving.
Right.
It'll be like the last. Yeah.
And get after it and hit all those.
Yeah.
So you gotta check
go
all
for like a month and hit all 8 of them, or I think there's 6 to 8 of them, something like that. So love outdoors, adventure, disconnecting, I think more than anything.
Yeah.
An opportunity. We live in a place where we have access to everything. So to kind of live counterculture and disconnect, be away.
Except for Starlink.
Except for Starlink for college football, though.
Yeah.
So, which is my second.
Okay.
Which is my
Connection.
second. Yeah.
You're quite passionate about
with
college
the
football.
sole purpose of the only way we can camp in the fall is if we can access college football games.
And who is your team?
The Texas Longhorns.
Unapologetically
Big Texas girl, unapologetically so. Flags outside my house.
They turned the corner. It's good
finally,
to be you these days.
After a decade.
You actually have a quarterback I want as my Dallas Cowboys quarterback.
I think, yeah. I mean, much to still be proven, but if anybody could do it, Arch is the guy. So
I'm an Arch fan.
Yeah. It's hard to not. It's hard, even with now he can speak to media and just his, everyone loves to give you the trick question, what are your thoughts on this or this? He's like, I'm pretty uninterested in that conversation. I'm uninformed. You should talk to someone else. I'm like, dude.
He's legit.
It's a killer.
I heard him say he hasn't earned anything. Like all the attention he's getting, he hasn't earned. I was like,
yeah,
someone please sign that guy up to be my quarterback.
Right. And can all other, especially college players, be looking at that as we're entering this weird season of colleges starting to look more like the NFL.
Than the NIL. Yeah.
It's a whole different ballgame. And so when you have those humble players that are still like, that's why I love college football, because there's such a wholesome, just team competitive, traditional part of it that you lose by the time those guys go to the NFL because it becomes about money. So I'm just praying that through all of this, those guys can stay true to.
Yeah, because you guys are willing to outpay pretty much everyone else. So
you can.
It's kind of mildly ironic that you're saying, I just love the purity of college football, even though your team probably pays more than anybody.
Right, which is great. Probably why I feel that sentiment. I can maintain it. If we're talking about a small, ACC school, I'm probably not going to feel as confident. But I believe in Texas. I believe in our boosters.
Who's your least favorite team on the planet?
Probably Ohio State.
Wow.
That was so easy for me to say. Sorry to any Ohio State fans out there.
Shout out Brooks.
I just
hate them Buckeyes.
Yeah. There's just something about them. And yeah.
They might be the only team that's whinier than you guys.
But that's probably
why. I've always called you guys the whiny orange. But Ohio State's way worse.
Ohio State's way worse and just more public and flashy about it. And
because you guys aren't flashy at all.
I don't think we are. I feel like we're like humble hometown boys that love a good tradition and just faithful university. Yeah.
I can already tell some of them are going to be giving you OU T-shirts, Aggie T-shirts. This is going to be a wonderful thing for all of you to really bless Liz with some gifts that might be laying around your house that are in the colors of maroon.
But here's what I'll say about OU. In all lots of Red River rivalry games that I've been at in person, there is this mutual respect that has always been displayed because they're a great program. And so while there is this epic rivalry, I think part of why the rivalry is so great is because there is, on that day, that week leading up to it, you just can't stand OU. But outside of that, there's a respect.
How many games at the Cotton Bowl did you ever go to? Did you go to very many?
4.
Wow.
Yeah. 4 games. And there's nothing like it. The division of the 50-yard line and
the State Fair.
Oh,
I mean, that happens in the State Fair. It's one of my favorite things.
All of it. Yeah.
I love it. Well, this will open up a door. They see a little bit of your competitive side and your love for all things orange, Longhorn. This is, Liz can take a good punch. You can verbally, just give her a little jab when the Longhorns have lost, but she will jab back.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we love about you, among all of the things that we all love so much about you. What's one of your, so you love college football, you love the, just getting away out into the wilderness, out into the wild. What's one of your favorite things with the Lord?
In this season, I think this refining process and one of our core values is that we're serious about growth, and that can feel really daunting. And also when you double down and you just see the Lord show up, and for me, it has created this confident ability to just submit and to just trust and know that through all of the growth and the pain points and relational transitions and spiritual growth, and that God is so near and so present, and it is this motivator to dive into the word more and to understand more and to see his heart more. And I think even as an organization, it's one of my most favorite things about us is that we're quick to point out blind spots in each other. And some people can say, oh, that's not healthy. But it's because there is this deep belief that God is working and moving. And when we understand that, it's so easy to look at someone we love and say, hey, do you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's a blind spot.
Yeah.
And it feels painful in the beginning. But then the more you do it, you realize this is what the kingdom looks like, because this is how the Holy Spirit talks to me.
Right.
Is this gentle, sweet grace and truth to say, hey, you got a blind spot. We gotta, sew that up and make sure that this doesn't continue to leak. And also, I love you and I'm for you. So thanks for the relational deposits and the time and the hours logged to grow, because I just think both of those things happen in equal parts and in tandem with each other.
Yeah. It's a beautiful picture. And you're already kind of getting ahead to the question I like to ask everybody as we wrap up the 7-minute sit downs. In this season of our church, because you've seen almost all of the seasons since the beginning, what would you say is your favorite thing, or one of your favorite things about Pillar in this season?
I think this transcends more than just this season, but even reflecting over the last few years and name change, and been there through building transitions and growth of the building and people transitions. I think the number one overarching thing that I love about Pillar Church is our leadership. And there's a lot of places, a lot of organizations, families that have core values. And sometimes those core values can be this thing that hangs on the wall that when push comes to shove, we do measure against to say, is this in alignment with our core values? But I think that through all of the changing seasons, the thing that I have experienced is that we fight for unity, that we are serious about growth, that we're not settling for religion, we're going for romance. Like all of these aspects of our core values that I see in every single season continue to be lived out, just puts more and more faith and trust. As a female, as a pastor, the number of times I talk to other female pastors that will, in the last 6 months, I need advice, I need input. I'm just not sure that I have leadership that believes in me continuing to grow and develop. And my honest response to them is like, I don't know what to tell you. I've never experienced that. If anything, I've experienced the opposite of sometimes leadership believing in me more than I believed in myself, and called things out in me. And I just don't think that's something that is easily measured. But at the end of the day, is something that is, I think, so honoring and pleasing to the Lord that it's not just a seasonal thing. This is even before I was on staff, I was a part of this church family and serving. And it's something that has transcended every season.
It's a great answer and great picture. And when we talk about culture, you are such a big part and have been. And it's why you've done various things throughout the years. But there are certain things you've always done. And one of the first things that comes to my mind is unity. You're a unifier. And you also are maybe, in Holly's and my life, one of the people who most roots for everyone else. You don't have an insecure bone in your body. You genuinely want to see everybody win, because when they do, we do. Mm-hmm. And as a leader, it is one of the things that is so breathtaking about your style of leadership, because it's just, you're a safe place to grow. And even if that means stumble every once in a while, but to grow into the fullness of what God created them for.
Yeah.
And you are a massive part of who our church has become and who we are becoming, and always endeavoring to be. You are some of the most important glue God has ever put in this place. And so just not even from an organizational standpoint, but just from Holly and from me, we are so beyond grateful that God handpicked you to care for his sheep in Scottsdale, Arizona, at and through Pillar Church, because we would not be who we are without you.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. And thanks for doing this.
Yeah, this was so fun.
Thanks for giving them a little bit of insight so they can give a little bit of a dig. Liz is like the sister everybody should have. I'm not going to lie. Because I'm a little bit, you can see, I'll poke every once in a while just for fun. Liz will just poke right back.
Sometimes too far, which I've also had to learn the hard way. It's like, hey, you got to rein it in sometimes in some environments.
She's the sister everybody should have. So if you've never met her, find her in the lobby this week or over the next couple of weeks when you see her. And I'm challenging you. Come up with some random question to ask Liz to learn a little bit more about her. And who knows, maybe she'll ask you a really random question to learn a little something about you. But she truly is a really big part of what God is doing here. So I'm glad you got to sit down, if you've never met Liz, to hear a little bit about her heart. And if you've never met her, find her the next time you see her and introduce yourself. Well, as always, thanks for sitting down for this longer than 7-minute sit down. I hope you have just a phenomenally, tangibly presence of the Lord driven day today. And as you fall asleep tonight, I pray he would whisper in the ears of your heart and say things you've never heard him say before. We love you so much. Can't wait to see you next time. See you then.